Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Keisha and today I'm going to be talking about my March content and reading plans. March may very well be the month that my cheese slides off my cracker because I have gotten so many things, so many books I need to read. I'm involved in so many readathons and book clubs and all the things this month. So if I go crazy by the end of March, you guys know why. But as I tell my lovely friends who try to hold me accountable and say, Keisha, make sure you schedule time for rest, I just would like to say that I would rather be busy than bored. Now, I may change my mind and change my tune about that by the time the end of this month rolls around, but there are lots of fun things happening in March, so let's just go ahead and jump into this. First and foremost, I'm going to be co-hosting the Let's Get Graphic Readathon March 1st and 2nd. This will be my second year co-hosting this readathon. The brainchild behind this one is Gwen from Gwendolyn Kensinger. We did this readathon last year, and this year we are being joined by Hope from Hope on the Coast. I'm so excited to do Let's Get Graphic. If you don't know what this readathon is, it's basically just a 24-hour readathon that will take place from March 1st to the 2nd, where you can read graphic novels, comics, and manga for those 24 hours. During the readathon, we will be having reading sprints over on Gwen's channel on that Friday night and that Saturday morning. I will leave the information for that down below in the description if you want to join us. We do have prompts for this readathon. The only photo prompt that we have is just to take a picture of your TBR, and then we have some reading prompts, and I'm going to try my best to remember which book correlates with which reading prompt. So we have 4 reading prompts for the readathon, and I have books selected for those, but then I have a lot of other books that I hope to get to that weekend, or just maybe I won't get to them, but I want to have all these in queue just in case I need them. So I have 4 here that I own that are going to fill the prompts. So one of the prompts is to read a book with 2 or more people on the cover. And for that one, I have Spirited Day of the Living Live by Liv Livingston. I just went to the bookstore a couple weeks ago. I had never seen this before and thought I needed to pick it up. It seems to be a spooky middle grade graphic novel, and we all know that I love those. So here is just a little piece of the artwork inside in case you are curious. So that's what I'll be reading for that prompt. Then we have a prompt that is to read a book that is included in a series. This is Enola Holmes by Serena Blasco. I believe this is, based on the novels by Nancy Springer. So this is a graphic novelization of those stories. This is book 1, and I think it has a couple of different stories throughout it. And then there are also other books, like book 2 and 3, I think, that have other short stories. This is giving like Cece's journal format vibes, so I'm really interested in this one. And then, let's see, what was the other one? A book with 200 plus pages is this one. Okay, I'm trying to remember which one I had for which. So a book with 200 or more pages. I think this has 200 or more pages. Does this have? Yeah, it does. This is Star Nights by Kay DeVault. Kay DeVault wrote my favorite graphic novel, which is Misfit Mansion, so I'm really hoping to love this one too. I love her art style and her storytelling. Let me see if I can grab a cute little, like, look at how cute and vibrant those illustrations are. I cannot wait to get to this one. And then the other prompt is to read like a new to you author or illustrator. So I've never read anything by Johann Trojanowski before. This is The Runaway Princess, and I actually was recommended this because last year Zoe from Zoe Delaney read this for the Let's Get Graphic Readathon, and I had never heard of it before, so I had to add it to my want to read. I'm excited about it. Again, I don't really know much about it, but I'm obsessed with this color palette and the illustration, so hopefully it will be a good one. Now I have a running list of graphic novels that I have on hold or have checked out from my Libby library app, and I'm just gonna really quickly speed through those as possibilities for other books that I may read for Let's Get Graphic. So I have Joe and Ruse, The Montague Twins, Ember and the Island of Lost Creatures, Cat's Cradle, The Mole King's Lair. This is book 2 in the Cat's Cradle series, and Things in the Basement. Those are books that I also hope to get to. Moving on from there, another readathon that I'm going to be participating in this month is a month-long readathon that you may have heard of. It's called Middle Grade March. This readathon is hosted by Krista from Books and Jams, Katie from Life Between Words, and Amanda from On the Middle Shelf. These ladies have really gotten me into middle grade over the last few years. I believe I was a children's librarian whenever I first heard about this readathon, and I was reading a little bit of middle grade, but there's always something about reading middle grade as an adult that just kind of makes you feel like, is it okay that I enjoy this? Like, I'm not a kid anymore. But these ladies just do a great job of saying, you know what, like, there's middle grade out there for everybody, and now I am one of those people that are trying to influence you to read middle grade also, because there truly are middle grade books out there, not only for kids, but that have adult, I don't want to say adult themes, but things that like adults can get out of it, because obviously they're written by adults, and so adults weave things in there where if you're reading with your child or you're just reading them yourself, you can get something out of the story too. And I love middle grade, so I'm definitely participating in middle grade March again this year. I'm so excited for it, and actually the day that this video is coming out is the day, number one, that Let's Get Graphic is going on. So if you're not participating, you should jump on that now. But also, Krista from Books and Jams has a video. I don't know if it's going out on her channel or if she's going to put it out on the Middle Grade March channel, but I'll have it linked down below once it's up. But she is going to be having a Middle Grade March collaboration video that comes out that I'm going to be featured in, as well as a bunch of other creators that read and love middle grade books. So definitely check that one out if you need some recommendations. There are a few prompts for Middle Grade March if you want to go by the prompts, but you can participate in Middle Grade March just by reading one middle grade book. But I want to go through some of the books that I have set aside for these prompts. One of the prompts is to read a book with a one-word title, and for that I have Newsprints by Ruzu. I'm really not sure how to say this author's last name, so I apologize, but this looks really good. I think there's a sequel, and I'm not really sure what it's about, except I think it's set in the 1920s around Newsies, maybe. It's not around Newsies, but like it reminds me of Newsies. And it's about this girl who, I think she pretends to be a newsboy, and there may be some time travel in this as well. I'm not really sure. I've heard good things, so hopefully it's going to be a good one. Then I have the prompt for reading a debut by an author, so an author's debut book. I don't know why I have to say that so complicated. So a few years ago, I read The Edge of In-Between by Lorelei Saverin, and I really loved it. So I have been meaning to read her debut novel, which is The Circus of Stolen Dreams. So circus, it's spooky middle grade also, which is very fitting for me. Really excited to read this one. And then the next prompt is to read a book with an animal on the cover, and for that one I have chosen Little Lord Fauntleroy by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I really want to read more of Frances Hodgson Burnett's books because I love The Secret Garden, and when I was book shopping with some friends last year, I saw this cover and I couldn't resist. So excited to get to another children's classic. Then the next prompt is to read a book featuring an immigrant or refugee. And I don't think I've actually ever read a book like this, or at least I don't remember if I have. But one that I see a lot of is When Stars Were Scattered, or When Stars Are Scattered. I think it's When Stars Are Scattered. I don't remember the author's name, but I'll pop a picture of the book up on screen. This is also a graphic novel. I can't remember a lot about it, but I know everybody tends to love it, so that is the one that I chose for this prompt. The next prompt is to choose a book that you feel like you missed out on, and I love this prompt because I feel like there's so many middle grade books that people talk about all the time that I'm missing out on. And I had originally not planned to read this book for March, but this prompt has prompted me to read this book, and that is The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. I've heard nothing but good things about this book. There's also a sequel. It takes place during World War II, and it features a 10-year-old girl named Ada, and she has never left her one-room apartment. Her mother is really cruel to her because she's humiliated by Ada's twisted foot. I think Ada ends up being, maybe this is a refugee story. Maybe she is going to be like a refugee, so maybe that'll work for that too. But anyways, I think she goes to like someone else's home, and yeah, I don't really remember much else about it. I'm okay with going in blind, but I've heard nothing but good things. Those are all for the prompts, but I do have two other middle grade books that I really want to get to, and the first one and my top priority for this month is The Mystery of Locked Rooms by Lindsay Curry. So you guys may recognize Lindsay Curry as a spooky middle grade author, but this is her first foray into something a little bit different. This is a mystery book, kind of reminiscent of Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library by Chris Grabenstein. I'm really excited to get to this one. Lindsay so kindly sent this to me and a couple of friends to pass around and read, and I figured what better time to read it than middle grade March. The book comes out in April, I believe it's April 2nd, I can't remember for sure, but it's the very beginning of April, so I wanted to go ahead and hype this up for her, and also I've loved her spooky middle grade book, so I'm really excited to try something new from her. And the last book for middle grade March that I plan to read is probably my most anticipated out of all of these. I know I just said The Mystery of Locked Rooms, and I am, like, it is top priority, but the one I'm most excited about is Nothing Else But Miracles by Kate Albus. And the reason I'm most excited for this is, number one, For some reason, whenever I read historical fiction, it doesn't always hit, but if I read a middle grade historical fiction, oftentimes it becomes one of my favorite books of all time. And I read Kate Albus's debut novel, A Place to Hang the Moon, a couple years ago, and I absolutely loved it, and it is one of my favorite books of all time. So I'm really excited to read Nothing Else But Miracles. I have high hopes for this one. I don't really know what all it's about. It's set in New York City's Lower East Side, based on the very real place in old New York City and steeped in the history of the last year of World War II. Nothing Else But Miracles shows how when things get tough, the neighborhood really will give you what you need and may even offer up a miracle or two in the process. So I hope this is as good as A Place to Hang the Moon. And we are not done with the readathons yet, my friend, because Summer from Seasons Readings asked me to help her co-host the Bows and Books Readathon. So I will be co-hosting this readathon with Summer, the mastermind and artist behind this readathon and these beautiful graphics, as well as Gwen from Gwendolyn Kensinger, Jordan from Sorry Book Solid, and Jessie from Reading with Jess. So this readathon is going to take place from March 21st through the 24th, and we will be having reading sprints on Summer's channel, both on the first day and the last day of the readathon. I'm also going to be on some reading sprints on Hannah from the Teachers TBR channel on that Friday, so you can have reading sprints all weekend if you want to. So for this readathon, there are lots of different elements. We've got some photo prompts, we've got some reading prompts, but it's going to be pretty chill, so you can kind of do with this what you will. I will go ahead and pop the photo prompts up on the screen. That way you can see what those are, but we're going to talk about the reading prompts right now and what I'm going to be reading for those. The first prompt is quite literal to the readathon, and that is just to pick a book with a bow on the cover. Now, it may be hard for you to find a book with a bow specifically on the cover, so this can be a bow, a ribbon, a piece of rope or string or thread, or anything that you can tie into a bow will work. It could even be shoelaces, so any of that will work. But the book that I have chosen for this one is another graphic novel, and that is Heartless Prince it says story and illustrations by Angela DeVito and written by Lee Dragoon. So in this one, I don't know if you guys can see it, but the girl has a bow, like ribbon bow in her hair. It says, once upon a time, there was a witch. Enter a world where a prince is in distress, a princess is fighting for her life, and a fierce warrior is discovering she has more power than she knows. I'm excited to read this graphic novel. Hopefully it will be a good one. I do like the art style in this one. It has a really pretty color palette, and hopefully this will be one that I enjoy. I don't really read a lot of like fantasy YA graphic novels, and that's what this is, so hopefully it'll be a good one. I'm also going to use this for the next prompt, and that prompt is to read a book. Actually, no, I'll use the next one for the 2 prompts. Okay, so this next one I'm going to use for 2 prompts. So the next prompt is to read a book by a female author, because in case you can't already tell, this readathon is very girly and coquette inspired, and so we had to go with a female author. So I'm going to combine that prompt with another prompt. So the third prompt is really cool because you get to pick a bow from this graphic, and whatever bow you pick will correlate to a reading prompt. So the bow that I picked is going to correlate with romance, but this also works for another bow, which is pink on the cover, and that is Picking Daisies on Sundays by Leanna Cincotti. I heard Sarah from Sarah Caroli talking about this book, and she really enjoyed it, and that did pique my interest a bit. But I'm telling you, Jordan from Bookish Gem is the one who sold me on this book. I'm really excited to read it. She's a little hesitant of whether or not I'll like it or not, but we shall see. And it's just because I've been reading a lot of romance lately, but I am really excited to pick this one up, and I hope it's a new favorite. If you don't know what this book's about, because I haven't seen it a ton lately, I'll go ahead and tell you. It says, Daniela Daisy Maria wanted love. It's all she hoped for when watching endless rom-coms every Friday night. What she hadn't hoped for was to find it in her childhood best friend, Levi. It was the hand-trembling, heart-thumping kind of love that wasn't supposed to happen when you saw your best friend. But it all ended when he didn't feel the same way, and she vowed to never see him again. 4 years later, and one night in a crowded bar in the West Village, there he was, just as perfect as ever. Maybe it was the lighting or the way his hair curled above his brow, but she couldn't say no when he asked her to be his fake girlfriend for his sister's wedding. Another chance at being his friend and mending her immature mistake? How was she supposed to say no? The weight of possible rejection from her dream grad school quickly became the least of her problems. With old, resurfacing feelings at every stage through romantic interaction and stolen glance, she struggles to find confidence. She couldn't help but think that maybe she should have said no to protect her heart for a second time. So this is childhood friends to lovers, second chance romance, and also fake dating. It's a lot of really cool tropes weaved together into one. Hopefully this will be a good one. So that is picking daisies on Sundays. That's all of the readathons that I will be co-hosting or participating in as far as I remember. Hopefully I didn't leave anything out. But next up I have a couple of book club picks. So the first one is going to be for my Christian book club, which is Revive. You can follow us over on Instagram. I will link that down in the description below so you can follow. But this is a bi-monthly book club where I alternate doing a nonfiction Christian book and a Christian fiction book. This month is our nonfiction pick, and the book is Love Walked Among Us, Learning to Love Like Jesus by Paul E. Miller. I'm really excited to dive into this one. I feel like it's very relevant today, and this will be a great book to dive into and learn how to love like Jesus. This book is steeped in scripture, but also has life stories weaved in to make it more relatable. And I'm going to be reading this book with my lovely co-host, Lauren, Jordan, and Caitlin. So I'm really excited to be reading this with them. If you guys want to join us, we will be having reading sprints halfway through the month, as well as a book discussion at the end of the month. And those dates have already been announced, so go ahead and check out our Instagram to kind of keep track of that. And if you want to chat with us and join the community over on Discord, that is linked down below as well. The next book club I'm going to be joining is A Court of Starlight, I believe is what it's called. And this is hosted by Sam and April. And I have not been able to participate in any of their book clubs yet because I'm really picky on the books that I pick up. And even though books sound interesting, I try to hone it in. But this month I decided to cave, and I'm going to be reading A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden. My friend Caitlin is really the one who piqued my interest in this one. I remember when she read it before, but then I've also talked to Jordan about it, and so she really piqued my interest, and I do want to give this one a try. I will say that as far as I know, there are a couple, 2 or 3 smutty scenes in this, but they're very low-key smutty, I think, or they're not often. It's not clean, but it's not just disgusting either. Sorry if that offends you. I don't mean that too, but I don't like to read smut. So it's not overly saturated, but there are a couple scenes here and there. So just be mindful of that if you pick this one up. The second book, I believe, comes out in April. So if I like this one, maybe I can pick up the second book then. And then the last kind of book club pick I'm going to be reading is kind of like a giant buddy read in Gwen's Patreon. So my friend Gwen has a podcast called Talk Bookish to Me. And with that podcast, she has a Patreon, and we have this Night Owl book club. She is having another book for the book club, but we all really wanted to read another Agatha Christie book after we read And Then There Were None in January. So we're going to be reading Murder on the Orient Express, and we're also going to watch the movie. So I'm really excited to jump into this one and read another Agatha Christie. Technically, that is all of the books that I have on my TBR. Not that's not a lot because it's a ton, but a lot are graphic novels in middle grade, so I'm hopeful that I'm able to get through them. But I did want to mention this book, which is called Help for the Hungry Soul, 8 Encouragements to Grow Your Appetite for God's Word by Kristen Wetherell. I received this book so kindly from Crossway, so thank you so much, Crossway, for sending this my way. I'm hopefully going to read this book soon because I am attending an event that Kristen is putting on with another favorite author of mine, Glenna Marshall. They both are women and there's another woman, but I haven't read from her yet, and I can't remember her name, so I'm so sorry, but they are women that I really admire because they talk about how important it is to be in the Word of God. It's not just a checklist thing. It's not something that you have to do, but it's something that grows your relationship with the Lord. And so I'm really excited to read this book because I loved memorizing scripture by Glenna Marshall. So I'm interested to see if Kristen Wetherell is going to hit me the same way. So I definitely want to read this one soon. I just don't know if I'll fit it in March or not. I'm definitely going to attend the event where the ladies talk about this subject matter, but we'll just see if I get to it because obviously I have quite the large TBR. As far as video content goes for this month, I do plan to vlog Let's Get Graphic and talk about the graphic novels that I read throughout the readathon. I also hope to do a spooky middle grade try chapter for middle grade March. Not really for middle grade March, but I've been wanting to do it, and March just seemed like a good time. I have a lot of spooky middle grade books on my shelf that I need to let go or get through. So I decided to do a video themed around that, which will hopefully come out this month. I'm also going to hopefully vlog the Bows and Books readathon, and then if I vlog anything else, I will let you all know. I'm going to be doing reading sprints on my channel this month as well. On the 5th, I have reading sprints with Hannah from the Teacher's TBR and Keely from Vampire Keely. On the 14th, I have Revive reading sprints with Lauren, Jordan, and Caitlin. On the 15th, I have reading sprints with Heather from Books and Heather and Yvette from Lee Race Adores. On the 28th, I have the Revive book discussion for Love and Other Words. That is not the book. Love Walked Among Us by Paul E. Miller. And then on the 29th, I'm going to be doing my reading sprints and monthly wrap up with Gwen from Gwendolyn Kensinger. Now, I am, like I said, going to be on other reading sprints. Middle grade March is going to have sprints and check-ins on Wednesdays this month. Let's Get Graphic, like I said, that Friday and Saturday, the 1st and 2nd, I will be a part of reading sprints. Bows and Books on the 21st and the 24th. And then on Hannah's channel, and I can't remember when that was, the 22nd, I think, is when I'm going to be on Hannah from the Teacher's TBR channel. So I have a booked up March. So let's just all pray that Keisha's cheese does not slide off her cracker, hypothetically speaking. So those are all of my plans for the month. And hopefully I'm able to at least accomplish most of them. If I don't get to everything, it's not a big deal. This is a very ambitious TBR because March is a month where I want to read all the things, all the graphic novels, all the middle grade, and then I just so happen to be participating in a lot as well. Thank you so much for sticking with me and making it to the end of this video. If you made it this far, go ahead and leave a bow emoji down below because bows and books, and also I'm in my bow era. Even though I don't have a bow in today, I'm in my bow era. So leave one of those down below if you don't mind. Check out all the information for all the readathons and different things that I mentioned linked down in the description box below. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye, friends.